Hi everybody, welcome to this session called Audience Focused Delivery. It's about delivering content to the right people. So I want to talk a little bit about the idea of what we hear all the time of informed consumer and audience metrics, personas, and all of these different things that are out there that talk about building an understanding of who your audience is so that you can deliver content specifically to them. The issue with it is that once you've identified your audiences, people end up writing content and they write it in sort of a haphazard fashion of creating and pulling together all kinds of material, maybe having something that is specific to one type of audience, something that's specific to a certain product or platform, and redoing content. The big issue with that, aside from you have to do it more than once, is that if you make a mistake somewhere, it gets to be tricky to go back, identify what the mistake is, fix it, and then update everything correctly. If you have content and you're writing it for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and you're delivering it for users of a Mac and users of Windows, as well as different versions of the operating systems, you really begin to run into issues with clarity of the information and the ability to manage that information. So I want to show you a couple of ideas that might help with that. As far as housekeeping and note-taking, if there's audio-video concerns, if there's things where you're not necessarily seeing things on time, turn off some of the apps that might be hogging bandwidth. Not all of the slides or the topics are equally weighted, so some of them will be more useful to you than others. Discard the ones that don't matter. I will go through relatively quickly on some stuff. It's a reference. You can go back and see it. I will also send out, aside from the link, a copy of the slides. And if there are questions, just type them into the chat. I would love to claim that all the errors and the typos you're going to see is on purpose, but they isn't, they ain't, they weren't, never. However, I'll fix them as I can. If there's certain things that need to be patched up, let me know. And the last thing is track the slide numbers, and I'll try to give you minute markers. For example, we're about 2 minutes into the recording right now. What that lets you do is jot down slide 3 or 2 minutes, and when you're watching the video or reviewing the slide, it gives you a quick way to jump in exactly where you want to be. My name's Bernard Ashwand, and as mentioned, I have a company called Publishing Smarter. My background is in content strategy, publishing, a lot of different technology tools, bit of an author. I'm geek enough to get myself into trouble, and I know enough people to pull me out of trouble when I do. I'm a certified technical trainer, do a lot of work with data, content management, and topic-based writing. I'm involved with the STC. I am the immediate past president and an associate fellow. And from a business standpoint, things that I try to do with the organization is help my clients so that they can create, manage, and deliver content, socialize their message, listen to what people are saying, and improve it. And we do so by helping clients primarily write less and write better, which is what I'm hoping to do in this presentation. Standard disclaimer that I'm going to throw in, for brevity's sake, I'll make some blanket statements to keep things simple. So not everything will be 100% the truth, but I'll stay close on it. Purists may end up complaining about some of the things that I'm talking about or demonstrating. They're wrong. It's my session, so of course it's no. If purists complain about stuff, they're definitely right. I want to make some generalizations. The slides are here to guide as we work our way through. It's not to say that these are rules written in stone. I'm trying to balance the hour or so that we have against the material that I want to cover. So a couple of easy steps to get you started. This is now about 3.5 minutes in, so if you're looking to skip forward and bypass some of the early stuff, 350 is what I've got. Think about your user. We have differing audiences, and they want primarily tailored content. No one wants to read the complete dummy's guide to using a Windows or Macintosh or Linux system from novice to expert and covering what a mouse is, as well as how to configure server blades as a PDC or BDC for web hosting. That's just everything, and therefore it becomes pretty much nothing. You want to get content that's specific to the product or platform or the ability that somebody has. That's what the audience wants. Give me the stuff that's relevant. Actually, they don't even want that. They don't want you to write them anything. What they want is to get rid of the problem that exists. They want stuff to work. And in a lot of cases, we have to stop writing content and start to actually solve the problem. Instead of documenting a dialogue or a screen and how to work around the issues in it, fix that. Get rid of the need for their documentation. It's unlikely that we can do that in all cases, and there's some complex information or specific audiences that need information that has to be documented, whether it's a video, whether it's tutorial or technical information. The goal that you should have, though, is to write less. And if you can't reduce their need for the materials completely, at least reduce the volume that they get and also the volume that you have to manage. And I'll show you a couple of tips for that. If you must deliver to a lot of different audiences, just give them the smallest amount possible. Focus on exactly what it is that they're trying to do. Easy things to do early includes a document review. Read what you actually have and identify what can go away. The earlier you can do so, the better, because it leaves you less that you need to review and to clean up, and that makes it much better for you. So writing product-specific content can be a bad idea. If I'm reading something that has the horrible title of Microsoft Word 2020 for Windows 10 User Guide, I don't need to see "you can save a file in Microsoft Word 2020 for Windows 10" as a sentence, ever. I defy anyone to tell me what specific software tool is documented in this slide. This is print, and it's for every software tool ever. Print. Make sure file's open, printer's configured, and that you have a martini ready. File, print, select the options if required, click print, done. Go drink your martini. So if you're looking for an excuse to drink a martini, the 6-minute mark, slide number 11, is a perfect place to jump in. By the way, there was mention from one person that the audio dropped. I'm not seeing it from anyone else, so I'm going to continue with the assumption that the audio is still okay. If somebody can give me a quick okay in the chat window, I'll know that audio is working, but I'm just going to continue onwards. Perfect, thank you. I did a search on Google, how to print Word, and I got something like this. And here's what I mean about some of the slides are quicker. This is a quick set of slides because it's visual. Some of them I spend more time on, but how to print Word. This is sort of what I got. I went in and clicked one of the links, the first hit, and it had print preview. So I took a look at it and I sort of scrolled down, and then I found a video on how to print, plus some stuff about Microsoft Access. So I scrolled down and I found stuff about Excel and OneNote and Outlook. So I scrolled down, and then I found PowerPoint and Microsoft Project, because alphabetically is a great way to provide product information. Publisher and Visio showed up, and then finally I get to the stuff on Word, and if you read this carefully, it has Word on the print, file, tab, click print, 2 on the properties. For more information specific to printing in Word, see printing and print preview in Word 2010, which means that after I've scrolled all the way down, they tell me to go somewhere else. And once I'm there, they have me scroll down and continue to scroll down. I got annoyed making these slides where all I had to go and do was copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, and take screenshots. It's frustrating for me. Imagine what it's like for a user. By the way, I like throwing in little bonuses. So here's a bonus. I got annoyed making these slides because I know someone out there has an editing background and looked at it and went, it's supposed to be slide. Yes, I know. Here's a little tip, has nothing to do with what we're presenting. If you need to get to this exact slide, which is slide 21, what you can do is launch your slideshow. So I press function 5 on my keyboard to launch the slideshow, and it's slide 21. So I just press page down 20 times if I'm insane, or I press 2-1 on my keyboard, 21, and I press enter, and it jumps right back to it. So I like trying to throw in a couple of little extra bonuses here and there. If you need to, in PowerPoint, jump to a specific slide, like slide 7, you type it, you press enter. Few easy steps. 21, I press enter. So I got annoyed making these slides on how to print in Word because I had to scroll all over the place. Imagine what it's like for the user looking at it. No wonder companies sometimes get a bad reputation for the help content. Finally, I get to this information, and again, it says follow these steps to print. 1, click the File tab, then click Print. 2, the properties for your default printer automatically appear in the first one. Your properties of printer and appear, click Print to print the documents. To change the properties for your printer under printer name, click, whatever. Here's a couple of different approaches in content. What I finally found was the information that you see on the left. And on the right is what I suggested about a day ago or whatever it was that we saw that slide earlier that said, make sure the file's open, printer configured, you've got a martini, file print, click print, drink your martini. That's exactly the same as what's on the other side. Except I didn't say, here's Word. Eventually, I started off with Access, and then I got down to PowerPoint, and then down into Visio, and then eventually. The sad thing is, when I went back and I looked, every single screen was the same information, or at least it could have been. Even that wasn't the case. In Access, they had click the File tab, then click Print. In Excel, it said, for information about previewing and printing in Excel, see these things. For OneNote, click the File tab, then click Print. That was for most of them, And in most of them, the second was, when the properties for your printer and document appear the way you want, click print. So really, it's file, print, click print, the end, regardless of the product. So a solution to this type of a headache, because you have to remember, somewhere out there, there's a poor writer who has to maintain all of the information for Word, for Excel, for PowerPoint, etc., etc., etc. Part of the problem is the tools that we use. Tools are a part, it's a small part. The bigger issues, though, legacy. We always wrote it that way. What else did we always, right? There's this, well, we've always done it this way. It just becomes a problem. The other problem is people. They think they know what the user wants, but they don't, at least not if there isn't any research, if nobody has gone out and talked to users and identified things. So before you get to anything to do with software, figure out the history and the people in the organization, review what's been done in the past and learn from it. Attend conferences. STC Summit, of course, is one of them. Learn from those different events. Talk to real user-based people, whether it's an editor, a writer, somebody in your own organization that might be writing content, whether it's a product tester, whether it's a salesperson who interacts, or even better, if you can attend to conferences that are not the STC conference, but are your own customer conferences, maybe you can talk to them, see how they use the product, hear their experience, and then watch how people, not only inside your own organization, but also partners or competitors are doing things and learn from them. What are other people doing? How can we improve our materials? Paragraphs. You can organize information so that you can potentially drop entire paragraph types. So if you can organize information and say, here's a step, here's some step information, here's some step example and step result material. Rather than writing, select file, print, and in the dialog box that appears, specify options if required, and then click print. It's that easy. Now if you write that long statement, everything is one place. If you can break it into smaller pieces and you say select file, print, that's an explicit step. Maybe you add some information that says in the dialog specify options. That could be step information. The next step, the second step, is click print. Now you could have some sort of a result or a post requisite that says now have a martini, but maybe you're creating content and giving it to different audiences and you don't need to show them all of the details. Maybe they just want to see 1, 2, select file, print, click print. That's it. That's everything. Great. And yes, you can do a lot of this in Microsoft Word as well, but I want to show you something kind of cool. I'm using FrameMaker at the end because I want to show you something active. You can do this in different software tools. It just depends on how you configure and if you're using other third-party tools to make stuff happen. FrameMaker has something called conditional content. Now we're about 13 minutes in. This is where we start getting into some of the more how-to. Conditional content allows you to go through and take markup content and say, this is a comment by the writer, or here is a watermark like draft, or revision tracking and comparing documents, and Word lets you do this type of stuff. If you set up conditions, though, you want to try to avoid an overlap. So what you might do is create something in FrameMaker, because it has this feature built right into it, so that you can go in and configure your content and identify this paragraph is conditional for a given audience. And you can do that in structure with elements and attributes and values. You can also do it in unstructured content, in more of the traditional material, similar to what we might see inside Microsoft Word. So DITA supports it, but it means you're working with DITA, which people do, and it's cool. But I want to show you that in the traditional plain vanilla FrameMaker world that does not include structure. Variables. Products let you swap out different names. So in Word or in FrameMaker, in Madcap, you can throw in a little snippet that says, here's the product name, I switch it, which is nice. Of course, you're putting the product name all over the place, and you should already have that identified by the guide somebody is reading. You could put in who the audience is or the platform. It's cool. Avoid all of this. If you're using a tool really, really well when you do this, great. But you're solving a problem that simply should go away. Ideally, we shouldn't have to put in any of the product information. We should be able to let the user say, I just want to see what's for Word or what's for Excel or what's for PowerPoint when it comes to how to do whatever it is that I want to do. Give me my product-specific information without the extra words. So I want to show you how to do this. When you're working with multiple documents, there are longer-term considerations that come into play. If you're using text insets, if you're using chunks of information, you can have repeated phrases. A common example might be something like a note that says, don't stare into the laser. That's pretty straightforward. You want to put it into your materials. You have a little fun with it when you write, don't stare into the laser, or you will melt your face off. Legal's not going to like that. So you put it in there, you have it as a repeated phrase, it appears in 10 places, legal comes along, we don't like it, we don't like it, we don't like it, we don't like it, times 10, because they really don't like it. So you change it once, and it updates everywhere. You could have content in headers and footers that automatically repeat from page to page. That's another way of looking at automated content. You have different format choices when you're importing information. You can have different text flows in a single document to have those repeated phrases. There's a bunch of stuff that can be done technically inside something like FrameMaker. So some people will come along and they'll say, oh, here's a really cool technical solution. Again, whatever. If you're using data, there's something called a conref that you can use. It's another yeah, whatever. And the reason I'm being a little glib and I'm saying yeah, whatever, is because I want to show you what you can do pretty much out of the box with the product. Yes, there's cool functionality, but it's a bunch of development. FrameMaker has books. Microsoft Word has a similar idea through the master document. It's kind of cool. You can use this as a way to organize information into chapters and then include or exclude them, and I'll show you one in a few moments. You can change the numbering from the book. You can build your generated files. You can have your table of contents, your index, or you can even just come up with something sort of as a quick generated document that you take a look at and, I don't know, table titles and figure titles. I want to see what they are inside my doc. Great, but again, it doesn't really help the audience. The audience wants to be able to just read one specific chunk of information, and the book is really a way of delivering a lot of content. We want to make it easy for the audience to find that content, but when it's delivered, most people, myself included, hate the idea of seeing something in a 200-page PDF document, because when I do a find, it shows up, it says, yep, it's in the 200-page document, and then I have to find throughout the entire document until eventually I get to what I want. Again, simpler is better. So what we're going to do is forget about some of those pieces and instead take a look at what can be done largely by default. Very little sales pitch by anybody. I don't work for Adobe. I don't work for Microsoft. All I want to do is see some of these ideas in practice. So I'm going to come up with a plan to create some content, and I'm going to switch over. I didn't want to do all of the typing while everyone is here. So I have this Microsoft Office document, and inside it I've got material on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and I've written up a little blurb about each of them. It's tiny because I want to illustrate an example. I'm going to switch back over for a second here. What I want to write then is some brief information on how to work with Word, how to work with Excel, how to work with PowerPoint. I want to show somebody how to create something new. Now, I've identified what I need, so hopefully I can write less. Initially, though, I'm going to have to write more stuff because I'm writing for every single product, so I have to repeat myself. The audience will appreciate it. If you're coming along and you read something and you see Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, you say, oh, I really got to know something about Excel, and you open up the Excel piece, and what you end up seeing is a title that says, hey, you can do something, the basics of Excel. There's several tasks, create a spreadsheet, and you want to print content. Great, that's my information, the basics of Excel. As a user, nice, clear, one page of information. Word. Oh, look, there's Word, there's Excel. In case you missed the differences between the two, there's Word, there's Excel. It's really basics of Word versus basics of Excel. Create a spreadsheet, whereas in Word you create a document. In both cases, you launch the software. A single document is created inside Word. Inside Excel, a single spreadsheet is created. Guess what happens when I open PowerPoint? The drama. Basics of PowerPoint. It says PowerPoint. It creates a single document. I can change that so that instead of a document, a single presentation. So now I've made that change. Additional ones, here's my graphic, and it's got the presentation that I can choose from. And then I come along and I say print oh, look, there's run a slideshow, black out a screen when presenting. That's not in Word, it's not in Excel. So there's a little bit of stuff that's unique to just PowerPoint. There's a couple of words that change, and I made a change up here to the word presentation. By default, a single presentation is created. If I wanted to, I could say is displayed. Except now I've got to remember as the writer that I've got to come back here and say is displayed. And then I have to come back into here to Excel and type in displayed. Lots of fun. And as writers, you may have had to do this in the past where somebody comes along and says, we need a change made. And you reuse your content and you're manually making these types of changes. But I've planned what I'm creating. The audience is going to get just Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I come up with some type of a content strategy. I do content analysis on what we have. I get some professional template work. I use the tools to their full potential. I'm now taking advantage of what the software can do. The only piece that I'm not doing here is taking advantage of a little bit of additional functionality inside FrameMaker that makes all of this easier. And I'm going to show you that in sort of the last 15-20 minutes. I'm going to continue along here and focus a bit on writing. So I create the different parts that I've identified in my plan. I go back and I take a look and I say, all right, I've got my Word, Excel, and PowerPoint materials. I make PDF documents of this. I send it around to all of my reviewers. They look at it. They sign off. They approve what it is that I've created. Great. Topic-based, task, concept, reference. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll go in and I'll take the material and try to break it down. What I have right now is pretty clean, brief. Here's a task, here's a task. So I haven't put in a lot of information, and I'm not taking any of the tech. I'm not doing the topic-based writing using data. All I'm doing is writing a couple of brief chunks of how-to information, and then I might organize it so that in my basics of Excel, I put in what is Excel, why would you use it? I do the same for Word, I do the same for PowerPoint. Eventually, everybody signed off. I've got my subject matter experts who are happy, they've contributed, they've given me their message. A manager is dealing with any issues that come up when somebody says, oh, can you add this one? Somebody says, hey, what about Visio? What about going in and documenting Microsoft Access? That's for the manager. I hand it off to the manager, and the manager says, no, here's what we've signed off on. This is what we're going to write. We're going to write content for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I deal with the content. My background is TechCom. I'm going to make sure that inside here, as much as possible, all of the content on Excel, on Word, and on PowerPoint is absolutely clear to my audience. That's done. Then I've got to publish, and this is where it gets cool. I'm going to show you a couple of neat things with publishing. And notice in this one it has basics of word processing, spreadsheets, slideshows. There's several core tasks you need to know when using Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I'm going to combine all of it into one document so that when I do need to make minor changes, I can make them in one place, I can publish, and my audience is going to get everything that they want. It sounds cliche, at the click of a button. It is cliche sounding. So I've got a basic normal FrameMaker file, and inside it, it's got minimal formatting. Everything that you see is really out of the box. So let's take a quick look inside FrameMaker. This content, if I come along in FrameMaker and I choose File, New, Document, and I create a portrait page, this is straight out of the box, basics of MS Access. I press function 9, keyboard shortcut, so that I can get to my paragraph formats. I'm going to put in title. I press enter. There's basics of MS Access. I press enter, and I'll look at PowerPoint, basics of PowerPoint. I've got a slightly larger zoom in the other one. Things you should know. Function 9, I'm going to put in a heading 1, and that heading 1 is going to have the text, create content, and then I've also got a chunk on print content. So create content, function 9, I'll put in a numbered 1, do things, other stuff, and then my other heading 2. Blah, blah. So what I've done here is I've gone in and I've just taken a blank document. It looks, if I zoom out especially, it looks exactly the same as what we already have in the other one. Basics of, a couple of paragraphs, no screenshot because I'm lazy, I'm not going to insert the screenshot. That's my basics of Microsoft Access. I'm going to throw that away. So everything that we have so far, I've gone in and just done this. I've written text. I've assigned some paragraph tags. I've assigned a title, heading 1 and heading 2. I've assigned a body, numbered 1 and numbered, and some indented content. And I also assigned a couple character tags. If we go back to a real document, you'll see that up here. And in FrameMaker, it shows you down in the bottom corner, Flow A title. It's down in the bottom on the left side. That's the title. This is a body paragraph. Create content is a heading 1. my first and second steps are set up as numbered, one and numbered. And within these, I also have a couple of words that are in italics, like file and new. Those are set up using a format called emphasis. It's just a character tag. Again, all of this, almost any of the software tools that we use in technical communication can do. I added a couple of graphics. They're screenshots. I pasted them into FrameMaker. I know I should link to the original graphic and reference it, etc. But for the purpose of the slides, I've reduced the images so that they fit better. And for publishing, I'm going to use something that looks a little larger. So you can see inside here, the images look a little cramped. When it publishes, those should look a little nicer. It's just to fit it onto screen, I had to go in and do a little bit of work in order to take advantage of the YouTube video format size here, the 1280 by 720. So pretty straightforward content. Back over to the slide deck. All right, I'm going to publish as is. I'm just going to go in and choose File, Publish. I'm going to go very much with the defaults. I've configured something, so I've got a saved setting that is the default, and then we'll take a look at the output because I said people should be able to grab what they want on any device, etc. Then I'll also show you a version where there's some conditions. Again, the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint material, I'll apply them to the materials and publish, and then you're going to see the dynamic content filter. It is totally awesome. It is such a cool feature because that's the point where the audience can come along and say, just show me Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And on the fly, it changes to show just Word or Excel or PowerPoint. I'll show you that, but first I'll start off with the basics, just so that, again, out of the box you have an idea of exactly what happens. So I choose, I'm going to close off these files. Sure, whatever. Save the change. Yeah, okay. Close this one off. Yes. The general approach people take is to then update the book. So under Edit, there is the second last choice, Update Book, so that I get my table of contents, my index, everything else updated. And when I look in my table of contents, it now has it has more information than my audience actually needs because I've got basics of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and all of them have create a document, create a spreadsheet, create content, which should be probably something like create a slideshow, print content, print content, print content. So I'd still have to go back and edit because I'm realizing there's some inconsistencies. I have 3 documents. Anytime I need to make a change to one of them that should be reflected, I have to open 3 files. The human being is responsible for maintaining this. Big headache, not something I'm going to spend any real time on. Instead, I'm just going to go in and choose File, Publish, and that opens up a dialog. The dialog gives you a couple of different options, and inside it, you can go in and choose, I'm going to open up an existing settings file. So let me bring this onto the screen. I have the defaults that are out of the box, and I also have my Microsoft Office tools. I'm going to go with the default version, though, so that you see exactly what happens when I publish this without doing anything to it. I've set it up to go into the STC 2016-17 Iowa folder, and I double-click Responsive HTML5. Takes it a few moments, it scans the files, it's doing whatever it is that it's doing behind the scenes, and then I can view the output, and this is where it gets kind of cool. All right. Here is my output, basics of Word, and then in my table of contents, I can go to create a document, I can go to print content, and it gives me the one set of information. Let's close that one off and go back over to FrameMaker. So that's if I'm going with just a single bland little piece of output. I'm going to take it and do something a little more involved. Let me make sure. I also want to change around the finished appearance on screen. So let me just generate it once more here. I'm doing it live, so it's sort of one of those, all right, where am I? What have I got happening? All right. Inside this finished output, you can see at the top it reads Responsive HTML5. Horrible phrasing. I can go to the next, Basics of Excel. I can go to the next, Basics of PowerPoint. Running down the side here, I have things like my index, which has screens that can be blacked out. If I click on it, eventually down here I can see blackout a screen when presenting. So very much the default. Everything's into one set of files. I can navigate through my document. There are a couple of cool things that are happening inside here. Let's take a look at 1 or 2 of them. If I change my zoom, I'm trying to recreate a couple of ideas. All right, so this is my zoom away, and there's my table of contents. Notice that the TOC, the table of contents, runs down the margin. The border of it is an inch or two in, but this table of contents appears on screen. The table of contents that I'm seeing is set up for a screen size that matches a computer monitor. The same thing with the index. It's running down the side here. It's a dedicated space. As I zoom in, I'm just going to zoom to 100. Imagine I'm on a tablet instead. There. Now, if I'm working with this on a tablet, and conveniently my screen is actually a touch screen, so I can come along and I can just navigate my way through things by expanding, jumping into pieces, expand, collapse my index, expand, collapse my table of contents, and if I pinch zoom, all the good stuff that you might expect to happen is starting to happen inside there. So I go back, and one more time I'll zoom away. There. Now my index, my table of contents, I can still do the tap, but it's much more defined as being a computer monitor type of a look. But here's where it gets cool. This is part of the Responsive HTML5. When I resize my screen, I'm going to pretend it's a phone because I can't actually open it on the phone and hold it up and have everybody see this. I'm going to pretend it's a phone. So let me go to what I think is a phone size. There, that's kind of my phone size. Notice the graphic is getting a little smaller. There's my phone screen. And in my phone screen, I zoom or I scroll up and down. I click and it gives me my expanded options, including this so that I can go to the slideshow and how to run it. There's a phone. Here is, eventually, it'll pop open tablet mode. And if I'm in a proper zoom setting, computer mode. I didn't do anything other than say, show me the content by resizing my browser window. Computer, tablet mockup, and phone mockup, and it automatically adjusts everything that appears on screen. That's out of the box. There's no custom configuration, nothing else that I've done. So if you wanted to do something like that in FrameMaker, you could start off by going in, download the trial version. Don't pay anybody for this software. Test it out, see what you think of it. Download the trial version, choose File New, create yourself, File New, create yourself a document, portrait page, and then just add some content and format that as a title. Put in some body stuff. Add a heading. And when you're done with this, here's some text. When you're done with it, you just do your save as, and even from a single file, you can choose File, Publish, once you've saved it, and just double-click Responsive HTML5. That's it. And then when you see the output, resize it, move it around a little. If you're comfortable with it and you want to go further, you can create a book document and put multiple files into it. So very much out of the box, no extra costs. Work with the trial version and get yourself started. Still not the point of our entire presentation. Let's go back over to here. So I went in and I did sort of the first column stuff. I'm going to come up with a better solution to all of this. I'm going to set up a document and I will show you how to do conditions for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I will also go in and use a couple documents where I've already applied stuff, just so that I'm not manually doing all of this over and over and over. Good, just want to make sure the next area is where we concluded. So we've got almost 25 minutes. I'm going to go through, show you things. If there's anything that you have a question on, let me know. And I'm going to end this by going in and just building a file totally from scratch so that for those that want to do it, you can sit down and say, at 45 minutes into the video, he did it totally from scratch using the software. And then you can go out totally from scratch, build it yourself, try it, and put in some of your own materials. Because again, it's kind of cool. The net result of this is a really awesome demo to show people as well. So let's go over to that for a second. Here I have my document. It has the table of contents, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and the index. I'm going to close that because I really don't like it. Instead, I'm going to open up my entire collection of Microsoft stuff. My Microsoft stuff also has a table of contents and an index, but it only has one file, and that file is called Office Basics. When I open it, what you'll see inside here, and again, I'm going to build something like this from scratch shortly so that you get a chance to see all of the bits and pieces from start to end, but I want to show you the result. This has basics of word processing, spreadsheet, slideshow. There's several core tasks when you work with Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Create a document spreadsheet slideshow. Launch by default a single document spreadsheet slideshow. Oh, look, 3 graphics. And the reason there's 3 graphics is that I've set up the content to be conditional. There's a lot of shared information. For example, printing is exactly the same. I shouldn't have to rewrite how to print. I do have a chunk down here that's in blue, and this is specific to just PowerPoint. So what I have is a document here, and I'll zoom away a little bit so that hopefully you can see a little more all at once. We'll just turn off the rulers. That'll buy us a bit more space at the top. I'll zoom away just a tiny bit further. Don't worry if you can't read all the words. I just want you to be able to see that inside this document I have red, green, and blue, and it represents Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Inside this one document, if I want to share it with other people, I can come along and I can do wonderfully convoluted things. I can go in and choose special conditional text, and I can show and hide conditions. So just show me anything that is for Word. Apply. Basics of word processing, etc. Create a document. There's my one screenshot. Print content. And down at the bottom, after all my text where I used to have stuff about slideshows, it's gone. I can toggle it. I can say, just show me the PowerPoint, and apply. And again, I'm doing it kind of quickly. I will do it slower in demo mode so that you can build a little bit of this. So now I see the PowerPoint version. It says basics of slideshow at the beginning. So I set this up. I make sure that I don't show my condition indicators, and I apply it. And then I come back into here and I update my book. And when the book is getting updated, it's complaining because in my Office Basics I said to hide something, but I didn't do the same thing for my TOC or index. So it's just saying, hey, you've got an inconsistency. You said to hide it here, and you're showing it elsewhere. Anyway, table of contents, basics of slideshows, create a slideshow, print, run it, black out, white out a screen. Now I take this document, I save it as a PDF, I turn around, I save it as HTML, I hand it off to people, and I say, congratulations, there's everything for PowerPoint. And I think I'm going to go crazy because I still need to do this and now go in and set it up for the Excel version and apply it, and now it's for spreadsheets. Then I have to update my book, and I update the book, and it complains because I've set Excel in one and I didn't change anything elsewhere. But now my table of contents reads basics of spreadsheet, that should be sheets. Let me go fix that in the source of spreadsheets and just make sure I'm in the right place. There we go. What if I forget to update my table of contents? Well, then I'm not going to have it inside here. What if I make another change inside one of these consistent pieces for Word, Excel, PowerPoint? Then I got to go back and update everything. So there's some good and there's some bad that comes with all of this, but I'm going to show it all and apply. Oh, and I want to turn on the ability to see it in color. Show condition indicators. So there's everything showing up. So what I actually have at this point is a document that uses conditions, and I have a book that takes advantage of it. And if I remember to update this, you're going to see that I have the table of contents that has basics of everything. So there's a couple of little areas where I still want to clean things up and tweak them a bit, but as a general rule, yeah, I'm going to close that. As a general rule, this is the area that I want you to focus on, all of this content, because this is what's going to become really, really impressive. I'm in my book, I choose publish. I'm going to use not the default. Instead, I'm going to open up my Microsoft Office tools. And the big difference when I switched over to this Microsoft Office tools is one checkbox. And that checkbox is in the output, and it says use dynamic content filter in the output. That one checkbox and a customization. And in it, I'm asking the question, what product are you using? And underneath it, I've created a group. So I added a new group for Microsoft Office, and within it, based on the conditions, I added criteria so that my users will be asked what product are you using, and they'll choose Excel, PowerPoint, or Word. I've turned off allow multiple selections. I don't want somebody to say Excel and PowerPoint. That's the change. I added that function. I double-click Responsive HTML5. It's going to take my entire Microsoft book going to create content, and when I view the output, this time it says basics of processing, spreadsheet, slideshow, and then I go to this filter icon. And with the filter, I can say, well, no, I'm just using Excel. And it says, oh, so you want to see the basics of spreadsheets. Well, there's several core tasks you need to know when using Microsoft Excel. You can create a spread. No, you know what? I'm not interested in creating a spreadsheet. I'm interested in Word. Oh, so you want to know how to create a document. Launch your software. By default, single document is created. Additional ones can be added. File new. Here's a little screenshot. New document, blank document. Choose a template, print. And if I try to scroll downwards, the end. PowerPoint. Oh, okay, so slideshows, and if you scroll downwards, it also has information on how to run a slideshow. So what I now have is the ability to create output and let my audience decide they want to see Excel or PowerPoint or Word. That's the net result of this. And it's responsive HTML. So again, when I change my zoom so that I zoom out a little bit, there's my computer-ish screen. If I resize this for something like the phone, there's my filter option. I can say, show me the PowerPoint version, check mark, basic of slideshows. Show me my Excel version, check mark, basics of spreadsheets. That's where it gets really cool, because as the writer, I have a single document that I have to maintain, this one. Let's zoom in and make one more change on this. And this is at 40 minutes in to the demo. So I'm going to go in and make a little bit of a change. I'm going to make this a bit larger so that it's easier for you to see what I'm about to do. I scroll downwards a little bit. I have print content. After this, I'm going to insert a paragraph. I'm going to format that as a heading 1. I'm going to put in save a document, save a file. That way it's a generic phrase. Changes. Nice and generic. I come along, and again, imagine if I had Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and somebody said, add this information. So I type in, save a file. Maybe I copy and paste. That might be the nicest thing to do. I'm going to format this as a numbered 1. Select file, save, configure any options. I'm making it really simple here. Click save. And then I save it. I have not applied any character formatting here. Imagine again, I came along and I took save a file, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste into Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I save, I close, I republish. I'll update my table of contents and take a quick look. Inside the TOC, after I've done the update, I'm going to see save a file, so I know it's been added. I take my entire Microsoft book and I publish it, double click. I get the output. It has all the save a file information added into it. Just close off these other ones in the background that we don't need. There's my little table of contents. Here's save a file. If I scroll downwards, eventually I get to there's save a file. And if I go to the filter and I say just show me Excel, well, there's Excel with save a file. And if I go to PowerPoint after I save a file, there's also information on how to run a slideshow. And when I go to Word, that information vanishes and I end at save a file. So I only have one place that I have to put this information. I only have one place to maintain it. And when somebody comes along and says, oh, you didn't apply character tags, I can come through here and say, you know what, you're absolutely right. Let me take this word, make it into proper emphasis, and let me do the same with the words next to it. So I'm just applying a character tag, some formatting, so that those words stand out a little bit. I save the file, I'm done. Imagine if I had to do that across 3 documents, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and it's near the end of the day, and each of those documents has 4 or 5 pages worth of stuff that I have to maintain. That puts the pressure on me to make sure that I get them all correct in all instances by either copy and paste, or if there are minor differences, such as up here where there's different graphics so I can't do a mass copy and paste, that I correctly copy and paste 2 and 3, or that I correctly copy and paste this title. That goes away. Plus, my audience gets to pick what they read. So I'm going to close these files off. I'm just going to show you a little bit about how to build it totally from scratch for yourself. So this is at 44.5 minutes. Make it 45 minutes into the presentation. This is if you want to do it totally on your own from scratch using just the default Adobe FrameMaker software. Download it for free on the Adobe website. It makes a kind of a cool argument if you want to show somebody, hey, we can go in and do this with our own documents. I'm going to do a really basic one. I'm creating a portrait document. So File, New Document. I click Portrait. It's a standard 8.5 by 11 page. I'm going to write about, I'm making this up on the fly. I'm going to write about, let's do STC membership. Why not? And I make that into a title. It's good to have. Go sign up, or sign up your team. Then I'll put in a little piece here, and whoops, function 9, I'm going to make that into a heading 1. Single sign-in, and then I'll put in a little procedure here for numbered, so numbered 1. By the way, I'm using function 9 to get to those different shortcuts. You could also, if you prefer, go in under View, under Format, and work your way through the document or the headers and footers or whatever and try to do things. I just like using shortcuts. The other one I'll do at times is go in and I do an escape sequence. So escape OPC is Open Paragraph Catalog. So you may see at certain times I jump around on stuff, but I'm going to try as much as I can to just sort of stick to a couple of quick little shortcuts inside here. So again, I pressed enter, I added an empty paragraph, I pressed function 9, numbered, I pressed my down arrow after the N for numbered 1, go to www.stc.org, click sign up, follow instructions. There we go. I'm also going to put in a piece here. So again, function 9, I keep pressing F8, function 9, and I'm going to change this into a heading 1 as well. Group sign up, go to www.stc.org. After the fact, as I'm typing, I can still do F9 and make this into a numbered 1, which restarts the count. Press enter, click contact us, click group sign up, follow instructions. All right, there's my 2 chunks of information. So that took 2.5 minutes to write this material. I then do a quick save as. I'm going to put this right into my audience focused delivery. I'm going to name this one STC sign up, and I'm going to publish it. STC sign up, I'm going to use the absolute defaults here. So I'm just going to switch over to exactly what you would have if you were doing this. So this will publish the way that you would get the publish when you do this document and choose File Publish. Shows up. I double click Responsive HTML5. If you want to, you can change the output folder. I'm going to put it into the same folder as I have everything else. Builds, builds, builds. View output. There it is. STC sign up. That's the name of my overall file, STC membership. I've got a couple of chunks of information. Notice down the side, no index, no keyword, nothing. I don't have any filters. Total, again, default content. Let's go back to Frame. So now you want to recreate the idea of what I've done as easily as possible. A couple things that have to be done, and this is sort of a one-time. Because I'm using the default out-of-the-box template, it does not have the conditional setup that's required to make this work. So I'm going to go into my conditional tags and I'm going to create 2 conditions. There's already one in here for comment. I'm going to highlight single sign up because that's the piece that I want to work with. It doesn't matter if you highlight it now or later. I'm just doing it early so that you know what I'm going to work with and so that I mentally stay focused on this is the single sign up. I'm going to create a tag and I'm just going to name it single sign up. Give it a format. I'll set it up to be, I don't know, double underlined. This is a horrible thing to do. I'm going to change the color on it to be yellow, and I'm going to give it a background that is, what's going to be horrible? probably something like forest green, and I will create. Now you can see over in the dialog, conditional tags, there's single sign up. I can turn on the checkbox for single sign up and mark. I've applied it. And there it is, horrible tackiness. Group sign up, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to highlight it. I already have the dialog open here, so I'm just going to call this one group sign up. I'll change the format on this though. I'm going to go in and do a, let's do a strike through, and the color on this will be blue, and the background color will be as is, so it's not going to change it at all, and create. And then I can turn on group sign up and apply it. There we go. Go sign up. That piece I'm going to highlight, including the space, and that is for the single sign up and check mark. Or no, it's just going to be sign up your team with the exclamation mark. So I carefully select that, and that is my group sign up, and I check mark it. So now I have STC membership. It's good to have. Go sign up. Single sign up. Here's how you do it. Sign up your team. Here's how you do it. I take the document. I'm going to save it. And in publish, which is tucked away down here, but I can get to it a couple of different ways. I can get to publish through that, or I can again go in under File, Publish. Part of the reason that things are tucked away is that my screen resolution is not set up for my icon size. I've actually made stuff larger, normal day-to-day use because of my screen resolution, and here it's nice because you get to see a lot of stuff. The drawback is that sometimes things are off screen. It should be fine when you work with it on your own screen. You don't have to do as much bouncing around. All right, STC sign up, responsive HTML5, double click, and I wait for it to generate, and I view the output, and I go, oh, this is going to be fantastic, and there it is, and where's my stupid little filter thing? Well, the reason it's not there is because I didn't go in and configure it to support the filter. Let's go fix it. Close this, back over to Frame, default, everything installed, no configuration. I click the little drop down and I edit. I'm going to change my title. Sign up with STC today! Exclamation. I am going to go in and use dynamic content filter, which is down at the bottom. Who do you want to sign up? Question mark. That's the title that I want to have up there. I'm going to add a group. Type of new member. And under this, I'm going to add the criteria. I'm going to have my group sign up as one of them. And I'm going to add in my single sign up. And notice that it automatically took away group because it said you're already using that one. So therefore, I can show you a more restricted set of options. That's really useful. If you have, let's say you have 12 different products and you want users to be able to go in and read about the product and turn on or off specific product feature. Instead of having to remember, did I do those 9 yet? It would only show you 3 of them, 2 of them, 1 of them, and then you know you've put them all in place. I don't like the word group sign up. It looks a little goofy, so I'm going to click on it once. I'm going to click on it a moment later, and now I can actually edit this. A group of people, or single sign up. Single click, wait a moment, single click, just me. And I save it. I'm going to do a save as. I don't like overwriting my original ones, so I'm going to do this as STC sign up. And you'll see that the default STS in a moment changes to the STC sign up, which has the configuration. I double click my responsive HTML5. I cross my fingers because it's live, and because we have 6 minutes left, I view the output, and I should see a filter. There it is off to the side. And when I click the filter, I have the option to say a group of people or just me and a group of people, and now it's showing both, or just me, and it changes it. Now the reason that I'm seeing both of these check marks as options is that you might have different ways that you want to configure things. I'll show you the last change here. And the last change is for me to go in and edit what I've already done. And under the Customize, I do not allow multiple selections. So there's times where you may want multiple, there's times where you may not. All it is one change, save, you can do save and close. I can at the same time come in here and configure my style mappings. I could say change the appearance of some of my paragraphs. For example, when there's a heading 1, I want it to pick up a different look and feel. I want it to pick up this customized heading 1 appearance that changes the font. When it's a title, I want it to pick up this customized title appearance that changes around the font. I can edit the style. It's very much like RoboHelp. It gives you all visual interfaces for customizing things. In any case, I've made my change. The primary change was to turn on only allow one. I double click. I view the output. I go to the filter icon, and this time it's got the little circle, so type of new member, it's a group of people, here's how you do it. Or it's just me, this is how you do it. Very, very quick, simple little demonstration. Started off with here's everything with no filters. Here it is with a little bit of a filter, and then into the final piece. So just to recap, everything becomes about the audience. We have all of these conversations about the informed consumer and people gathering metrics and building personas, but if you want to organize and create content that's geared to multiple audiences, there is a lot of technical stuff that you can do. But if you want to, you can download a copy of FrameMaker. It's free. You go out, you test it, you see if it works, and I've hopefully given you a couple of little tips and techniques, and in the last 15 minutes or so, a video demonstration where you can jump into 45 minutes in the video, play it, pause it every 30 seconds, every minute, whatever it takes, try it with the free version of FrameMaker, make the change, test, build your own set of documentation as well. And at the end of the day, you can then deliver that right information to the right audience in the right format. They can view it on any device. It's at the right time. It's when they want it, and they make the right decision by activating or deactivating some of those functions. And if you do want to see this using your own content, fire me an email message. The next 2 weeks, a little crazy, but after that, fire me an email message. I'm happy to go through and help you do some of this with your actual content so that you get a chance to see it, and then you can demonstrate it to the powers that be, or you can go through and put it into your own portfolio. It becomes a really neat piece to be able to demonstrate to somebody when you're out job hunting, to be able to say, I can take the content that your organization creates, and once that content is in my hands as a professional in the field, I will go through, rework it. I will increase the overall productivity, because instead of having reviewers go through and look at the Word and the Excel and the PowerPoint and the Access and the Visio and every other type of documentation that I showed earlier, they'll look at one source of content. When they approve it, when it's finalized, we publish it, and if we want to, we can allow our audience to specifically define exactly what they want to see. So happy to help you out. If there are questions, I've been keeping an eye on the chat. I didn't see any questions specifically pop in there, but we are just about at the top of the hour, so a thank you to everybody for participating, to everybody who's behind the organization of the webinar. Thank you goes out to them as well. I will ask for a list of the people who attended so that I can send you the slides as well as a link to the video so that you can rewatch it and you can try this yourself. Hopefully it's been useful. I'm going to stop the recording in just a moment unless there's any questions that are to be added in. That will end the video. Otherwise, I'll come back and I'll add those in. So thanks everybody for attending, and this ends the recording.